The FBI director just said something that should make every American pay attention. Quote, Chinese economic espionage amounts to one of the largest transfers of wealth in human history. End quote. Not the largest trade deal, not the biggest merger, the largest wealth transfer in history. $600 billion per year. Stolen, not traded, not negotiated, stolen from American companies and workers. And it's happening right now while you're watching this video. And while the FBI opens a new case every 12 hours, while trillions in American innovation disappear into Chinese factories. But here's what makes this even more insane. At the exact same time, China is stealing $600 billion per year from us. Chinese billionaires and millionaires are moving $217 billion per year out of China and into America. Wealth flowing both directions. American innovation going to China, Chinese money coming to America. And both transfers are reshaping the global economy faster than anyone realizes. This is the story of how China triggered the biggest wealth transfer in U.S. history and why your job, your innovation, and your economy are all at risk. Let me start with what the FBI director actually said. Because this isn't some random politician making claims. This is Christopher Wray, the guy who runs the agency responsible for catching spies and stopping economic espionage. The guy who has access to classified intelligence on what's really happening. 2020, Wray gives a speech, and he uses 3 words that should have made headlines everywhere. Largest in history. Here's the full quote. Chinese economic espionage amounts to one of the largest transfers of wealth in human history. Largest in history. Think about what that means. Human history includes colonialism, includes empires extracting wealth for centuries, includes the Marshall Plan, the biggest aid package ever, includes every trade deal, every merger, every acquisition, and the FBI director says Chinese theft of American intellectual property is one of the largest wealth transfers ever. How much are we talking about? The U.S. Trade Representative did an investigation. Section 301 investigation into China's unfair trade practices. They calculated the annual loss from intellectual property theft. 225 to 600 billion per year. Not total, per year. Let me put that in perspective. The entire U.S. federal government collected about 9 trillion in tax revenue in 2025. China is stealing the equivalent of 12% of total U.S. tax revenue every single year. But it's not just about the money, it's about what's being stolen. Let me give you examples, real examples. Verified by the FBI and cybersecurity firms. May 2022, cybersecurity company CyberIan releases a report with CBS News. They uncovered a Chinese state-sponsored hacking group, AP41, also called the Winty Group. This group targeted approximately 30 multinational companies. North America, Europe, Asia, didn't matter. If you had valuable intellectual property, you were a target. What did they steal? Hundreds of gigabytes of data, blueprints for manufacturing, diagrams of proprietary systems, formulas for pharmaceuticals, research data for biotechnology, defense technology designs. The report said AP41 stole trillions of dollars worth of intellectual property over years of operations. Trillions, not millions, not billions, trillions. Here's how it worked. They'd hack into company networks, install malware, create backdoors, then sit there silently for months, sometimes years, watching, learning, downloading. By the time the company discovered the breach, the Chinese hackers had copied everything of value. Manufacturing processes that took decades to develop, copied in days, drug formulas that cost billions to create, stolen overnight. And here's the part that should make you angry. These weren't random hackers. This was the Chinese government. State-sponsored, state-funded, state-directed. The FBI says China has a bigger hacking program than every other major nation combined. Combined, they have thousands of hackers working full-time targeting American companies, and the FBI can't keep up. Wray said they open a new China-related counterintelligence case every 12 hours. Every 12 hours. That's 2 cases per day. 730 cases per year, on top of the 1,000-plus cases already active. Think about what that means. The FBI, with all its resources, all its agents, all its technology, can't stop it. They're documenting it, investigating it, catching some of it. But they can't stop the flow. Because for every hacker they catch, 10 more are working. For every breach they discover, 5 more are happening. The scale is too big. The resources too unbalanced. And here's what nobody's telling you. The 600 billion per year? That's just what we know about. That's the stuff companies discovered. The breaches that got reported. The theft that got documented. How much more is happening that we don't even know about yet? How much intellectual property is sitting in Chinese servers right now that won't be discovered for years? Let me show you exactly what China is taking. Because this is an abstract. This affects real industries, real companies, real American jobs, defense technology. China has stolen blueprints for fighter jets, for helicopters, for missile systems, for radar technology. The F-35 fighter jet, the most advanced aircraft America has ever built. China's J31 looks suspiciously similar. Why? Because they stole the designs. How do we know? Because the FBI caught them. Multiple cases, Chinese nationals working at defense contractors, copying files, sending data back to China. Some got caught, most probably didn't. Pharmaceuticals, China is stealing drug formulas, research data, manufacturing processes. You know, those new weight loss drugs, making headlines. Ompic WGO, that technology is worth billions. Chinese hackers have targeted those companies. Why does this matter? Because developing a new drug costs on average $2, $6 billion, and takes 10 to 15 years. If China steals the formula, they skip all that. They can produce generic versions immediately, undercut American prices, capture the market. American pharmaceutical companies lose revenue. They lay off scientists. Innovation slows, jobs disappear. Technology, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, cloud infrastructure, all targeted, all stolen. Semiconductor manufacturing is incredibly complex. It took American and allied companies decades to perfect billions in investment, thousands of engineers. China wants to catch up. So instead of investing decades, they steal the processes. AI research, American companies like OpenAI, Google, Microsoft are leading the world. Their algorithms, their training methods, their architectures, all targets. China wants to leapfrog. Stealing is faster than developing. Energy technology, advanced solar panels, battery systems, grid management software, power generation innovations, all stolen. Biotechnology, gene editing, CRISPR research, vaccine development, medical device designs, all targeted manufacturing. This is huge. American manufacturers spend years developing efficient processes. How to make products faster, cheaper, better. Those processes are trade secrets worth millions. China steals them, builds factories using stolen processes, undercuts American prices. The pattern is always the same. American companies invest billions in decades developing something. Chinese hackers steal it in weeks. Chinese companies produce it cheaper because they didn't pay for development. American companies can't compete. American workers lose jobs. And here's the part that should enrage you. It's not just happening to big corporations, small companies too. That startup your friend works at, that innovative manufacturer in your hometown, they're targets too. Because China doesn't just want the big stuff. They want everything, every innovation, every advantage, every edge. Let me explain exactly how China steals this intellectual property. Because understanding the methods shows you how systematic this is. Method 1, cyber theft, hacking. This is what AP41 does, what dozens of other Chinese hacking groups do. They identify targets, companies with valuable IP. They research the company, find vulnerabilities. Maybe an employee clicks a phishing email. Maybe they exploit a software vulnerability. Doesn't matter. They get in. Once inside the network, they install malware, create backdoors, establish persistence. Then they map the network, find where the valuable data is stored, engineering files, research databases, email systems. Then they exfiltrate, move data out slowly, carefully, so it doesn't trigger alarms. Gigabytes of blueprints, terabytes of research, all flowing to Chinese servers. Sometimes they get caught, most times they don't. Security firms estimate that companies don't discover breaches for an average of 207 days. That's almost 7 months. 7 months where hackers have free access to everything. Method 2, forced technology transfer. This one is more subtle, but just as devastating. American companies want access to the Chinese market. 4 billion consumers, huge opportunity. But China says, okay, you can sell here, but you have to partner with a Chinese company, joint venture required. And in that joint venture, you have to share your technology transfer, your manufacturing processes, clears throat, train engineers, share your trade secrets. American companies do it because they want the market access. But what happens? The Chinese partner learns everything. Then 5 years later, they start their own competing company using your technology, and you can't do anything about it because you agreed to the technology transfer. This has happened in automotive, aerospace, renewable energy, telecommunications. Across industries, American companies trade long-term competitive advantage for short-term market access. Method 3, economic espionage, old-fashioned spying. Chinese nationals get jobs at American companies. Not all of them are spies. Most aren't, but some are recruited by Chinese intelligence, directed to apply for jobs at target companies, get hired, gain access, copy files, report back. The FBI has documented hundreds of cases. Engineers downloading blueprints before quitting to return to China, researchers copying formulas, managers stealing customer lists. Some get caught, prosecuted, imprisoned. But for everyone caught, how many succeed? Method 4, academic and research theft. This one targets universities. China sends thousands of students and researchers to American universities. Again, most are legitimate, but some are directed by Chinese intelligence to steal research. They join labs, working on cutting-edge technology, gain access to unpublished research, copy data, send it back to China. Sometimes they never publish in the US, just take the research and leave, or they violate agreements. Bring research back to China that was supposed to stay in the US. Use it to launch Chinese companies or military programs. The FBI has said every major US university has likely been targeted by Chinese intelligence for academic espionage. All four methods work together. Cyber theft steals what's already developed. Forced technology transfer takes what's in production. Economic espionage grabs what's in companies. Academic theft captures what's in development. Comprehensive, systematic, relentless. I'm posting updates on the FBI's latest cases and China's espionage tactics to our WhatsApp channel, Economy Meet History. New cases are breaking every 12 hours. You need to know which industries are being hit next and how to protect yourself if you work in tech, manufacturing, or research. Link in description. Now, let me tell you about the second wealth transfer, the one going the opposite direction. Chinese money fleeing China and coming to America. $217 billion per year, average from 2020 to 2024. That's according to the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, verified by the Brookings Institution. Every year, 217 billion leaves China, and a huge chunk of it comes to the United States. Why? Because wealthy Chinese don't trust their own system anymore. Xi Jinping launched something called common prosperity. Sounds nice. The reality, crackdowns on successful entrepreneurs, wealth redistribution, regulatory attacks on tech billionaires disappearing, then reappearing months later, more compliant. Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba, criticized Chinese regulators, disappeared from public view for months. When he came back, he was quiet, subdued. His company got hammered with regulations and fines. That sent a message to every other wealthy Chinese person. The government can take your wealth, can destroy your company, can make you disappear anytime they want. So what do wealthy Chinese do? They move money out before the government can take it. But China has capital controls, and you're not supposed to be able to move large amounts out of the country. $50,000 per year limit for individuals. So they use workarounds, shell companies, fake trade invoices, cryptocurrency, underground banking networks, buying foreign real estate through intermediaries. Where does the money go? United States is the top destination. Why? Political stability, rule of law, property rights protection. No one's going to make you disappear in America for being rich. Chinese money flows into U.S. real estate, luxury apartments in New York, mansions in California, commercial buildings in major cities. It flows into U.S. stocks and bonds, safe haven assets, government securities, blue chip companies. It flows into U.S. businesses, investments in startups, purchases of established companies, acquisitions, and it flows into hard assets, gold, silver. Remember from earlier scripts, gold up 84%, silver up 245%. Chinese investors are major buyers, fleeing their currency, fleeing their system. This capital flight actually benefits America in some ways. It brings money into our economy, supports our real estate markets, funds our companies, buys our government debt, but it also shows something important. The wealthiest, most successful Chinese people don't trust China's future. They're voting with their money, and the vote is leave. This creates an interesting dynamic. China is stealing American intellectual property, American innovation, American technology, and simultaneously, Chinese wealth is fleeing to America seeking safety. It's like China, the country, is attacking America economically, while Chinese individuals are trying to join America economically. The Communist Party wants American IP to strengthen China. Chinese citizens want American security to protect their wealth. Two wealth transfers, same time, opposite directions, both enormous. And here's what's absolutely wild. Some of the Chinese money coming to America is probably money made from stolen American IP. Chinese companies use stolen technology to build products. They sell those products, make billions. Then the executives move that money to America to keep it safe. So American innovation gets stolen, turned into Chinese profits, then comes back to America as capital flight. Circular wealth destruction. Let me break down what this actually costs America. Not just the dollar amounts, the real cost, jobs. When China steals manufacturing processes and undercuts American prices, American factories close, workers get laid off, communities built around manufacturing collapse, the Rust Belt, industrial Midwest. These regions were devastated partly by Chinese competition using stolen technology. Towns that thrived on manufacturing watched factories close, unemployment spike, young people leave, infrastructure decay. That's not just about trade. It's about theft enabling unfair competition. Innovation, here's the insidious part. If you're an American company and you know your research will get stolen, do you invest as much in research? Do you develop the next breakthrough if China will copy it immediately? Some companies pull back, reduce R&D spending, keep innovation secret instead of patenting them. Don't collaborate with universities. Don't publish research. That slows American innovation, slows technological progress, hurts long-term competitiveness, tax revenue. Companies earning less because they can't compete with stolen technology. Chinese competitors pay less in taxes. Workers laid off pay less in taxes. Government revenue drops. That $600 billion in stolen IP, if it was legitimate business, it would generate maybe $120 billion in corporate taxes, plus income taxes on worker wages, plus economic multiplier effects, all lost every year. Strategic advantage. This is the national security piece. When China steals defense technology, American military advantage erodus. The F-35 took decades to develop, cost over $1 trillion for the program. China stole designs and built their version in a fraction of the time and cost. Now, America's technological edge in warfare shrinks, conflicts become riskier, deterrence weakens. When China steals AI research, they close the gap in artificial intelligence. AI will define economic and military power this century. If China catches up by stealing instead of developing, America loses the AI race, loses the century. When China steals biotech, they position themselves as leaders in life sciences, gene editing, personalized medicine, vaccines, all strategic industries, all stolen. Trust in the system. This one's subtle but important. When American workers see their innovations stolen, their jobs lost, their government unable to stop it, they lose faith. Why work hard? Why innovate? Why invest in the future if someone's just going to steal it? That cynicism corrodes society, makes people less willing to take risks, less willing to start businesses, less willing to push boundaries. That's exactly what China wants. Because a demoralized, cynical America is less competitive, less innovative, easier to surpass. Here's what should make you furious. Your tax dollars fund the research grants that lead to innovations. Your universities develop the technology, your companies commercialize it, then China steals it for free. You paid for the innovation. China gets it for free, then uses it to take your job. That's the cycle. And it's happening right now. Let me explain why the FBI, with all its resources, can't stop this wealth transfer scale. China has thousands of hackers full-time, state-funded, state-directed. The FBI has maybe a few hundred agents working China cases. Maybe the ratio is overwhelming. For every FBI agent, there might be 10 Chinese hackers. The FBI has outnumbered resources. Chinese hackers have unlimited budgets, state funding, state infrastructure, state protection. If they get caught in China, nothing happens. They're heroes. FBI agents have limited budgets, have to follow rules, have to get warrants, have to build court cases, work within the legal system. The asymmetry is massive jurisdiction. Chinese hackers operate from China. The FBI can't arrest them there, can't raid their facilities, can't shut them down. They can only catch Chinese spies who come to America or hack back, which is legally complicated and politically sensitive. Most Chinese hackers never set foot in America, never face consequences. Attribution. Proving a hack came from China is hard. Proving it was state-sponsored is harder. Hackers use proxies, route through multiple countries, hide their tracks. Even when the FBI has high confidence, proving it in court is difficult. If the hacker is in China, it doesn't matter anyway. Can't prosecute them. Corporate reluctance. Many companies don't report breaches. Why? They don't want the bad publicity. Don't want customers to know their data was compromised. Don't want stock prices to fall. So they quietly patch the vulnerability, quietly investigate, quietly move on, and never tell the FBI. That means the FBI doesn't know the full scope, can't track patterns, can't warn other companies, can't build comprehensive cases, speed of technology. By the time the FBI investigates a breach, discovers the method, and warns companies, Chinese hackers have moved to new techniques, new malware, new vulnerabilities. It's whack-a-hole, forever playing catch-up. Political constraints. Going after China aggressively has diplomatic consequences, trade consequences, political consequences. So there are limits on what the FBI can do. Can they hack back and destroy Chinese servers? Technically possible, politically complicated, legally questionable. Can they publicly name every Chinese hacking group in their operations? Sure. But that might reveal intelligence sources and methods, might compromise ongoing investigations. All these factors combined, the FBI does what it can. Opens cases, makes arrests, issues warnings, but they can't stop the flow. And FBI Director Wray admitted it. His warning about the largest wealth transfer in history wasn't just for awareness, it was a cry for help, for resources, for legal authorities, for political will. Because right now, China is winning this theft war, and America is losing $600 billion per year. And here's the part that should keep you up at night. The $600 billion per year is accelerating, not slowing. As China's hacking capabilities improve, as their targets expand, as their boldness grows, the theft increases. This isn't a problem that's stabilizing. It's getting worse. Every year, every month, every day. Let me make this personal. How does this affect you specifically? Your career. If you work in technology, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, defense, research, your job exists because of American innovation, because American companies can develop things others can't. But if China steals that innovation, your company loses its competitive advantage. Can't justify your salary, can't fund your department, layoffs come. This isn't theoretical, this has happened. Companies that lost IP to China have closed divisions, moved operations overseas, laid off thousands. Your investments. If you own stock in American tech companies, pharmaceutical companies, manufacturers, your returns depend on their ability to monetize innovation. If their innovations get stolen before they can profit, stock prices suffer. Your 401k suffers. Your retirement savings suffer. Your children's future. America's economic dominance depends on being the most innovative country, the country that develops what others copy. But if innovation gets stolen immediately, the incentive to innovate disappears. Why spend billions developing new technology if China will steal it? Over time, American innovation slows, economic growth slows, standard of living growth slows, your children inherit a weaker economy, your national security. If China steals military technology, American soldiers face better equipped adversaries. Conflicts become bloodier. Deterrence weakens. The world becomes more dangerous. Your technological life, the devices you use, the medicines you take, the cars you drive, all depend on continuous innovation. If innovation slows because of theft, technological progress slows, the future arrives later, or not at all, your taxes. Remember, $600 billion in stolen IP means lost tax revenue. That hole has to be filled. How? Higher taxes on you, or fewer services, or more debt? You pay for China's theft through higher taxes, through worse public services. Through national debt, your children will have to pay back. Meanwhile, the $217 billion in Chinese capital flight does create some benefits. Supports real estate prices, provides investment capital, buys government bonds, but it also inflates asset prices, makes housing less affordable, concentrates wealth, creates dependence on foreign capital, so you get hurt by the IP theft, get mixed effects from the capital flight, and the net result is America weakening while China strengthens. Join our WhatsApp channel, Economy Meet History, because this story is developing daily. New FBI cases, new Chinese hacking operations discovered, new companies targeted. When major breaches happen, I'll post analysis immediately with which industries are hit and what it means for jobs and markets. Link in description right now. Let me tell you what's likely to happen in the next few years. Because this story isn't over, it's accelerating. China will continue stealing. They have no reason to stop. The benefits are enormous. The costs are minimal. International pressure hasn't worked. Sanctions haven't worked. FBI investigations haven't stopped it. So China keeps going, keeps hacking, keeps stealing, keeps transferring wealth. The $600 billion per year might become $700 billion, $800 billion. As their capabilities improve, as their targets expand, as their boldness increases, American companies will adapt. Some will. They'll increase cybersecurity, segment their networks, encrypt everything, monitor for intrusions. But that costs money, slows operations, creates friction. Even the best security gets breached eventually. Some companies will stop innovating in certain areas, will decide some research is too risky, too likely to get stolen, better to be second mover, copy someone else. Ironically, American companies might start copying Chinese companies who copied American companies. The FBI will get more resources, probably. Congress will hold hearings, allocate funding, expand authorities, but it won't be enough because the fundamental asymmetry remains. China has more hackers, fewer rules, no accountability. Trade policy will harden. Tariffs, export controls, investment restrictions, technology transfer bans. We're seeing this already. Trump tariffs, partially motivated by IP theft, semiconductor export controls, TikTok bans. This will continue, maybe escalate. Economic decoupling between US and China. That has costs, supply chains disrupted, prices higher, economic efficiency lower, but might be necessary to protect IP. Chinese capital flight will continue, maybe accelerate. As she tightens control, as China's economy weakens, as property markets collapse, more wealthy Chinese will try to move money out. That benefits America, in some ways, but also creates dependencies. If Chinese money suddenly stops flowing, US real estate markets could crash in certain cities, bond markets could struggle, technology competition will intensify. AI race, quantum computing race, biotech race, space race, clean energy race, US versus China across all cutting-edge technologies, and China will try to steal in all of them. Use stolen tech to close gaps faster. The country that wins these technology races will dominate the 21st century. Stakes couldn't be higher. Geopolitical tensions will rise. Economic conflict breeds political conflict. Technology theft enables military modernization. Military modernization increases conflict risk. Taiwan, South China Sea, trade routes, spheres of influence, all flashpoints, and underlying it all, the reality that China is using stolen American innovation to challenge American power. Let me bring this all together. China is executing the largest wealth transfer in human history. The FBI director said it. The data proves it. $600 billion per year in stolen intellectual property. American innovation, American technology, American competitive advantage, stolen systematically, relentlessly, successfully. At the same time, $217 billion per year in Chinese capital fleeing China for America. Chinese wealth seeking safety, protection, rule of law. Two massive wealth transfers opposite directions, same moment in history, and both are reshaping the global economy. American innovation stolen, American competitiveness eroded, American jobs lost, Chinese companies strengthened, Chinese military advanced, Chinese economy modernized on the back of theft, on the back of the largest transfer of wealth in human history. Your job is at risk. Your investments are at risk. Your children's future is at risk. Your country's position in the world is at risk. Because while you were going to work, while you were paying taxes, while you were building a life, China was stealing the foundation of American prosperity. And the FBI can't stop it. Opens a new case every 12 hours. Documents the theft, makes arrests, issues warnings, but the theft continues. The wealth transfers continue. The future shifts. This is the story you need to understand. The crisis you need to acknowledge. The threat you need to recognize, because China just triggered the biggest wealth transfer in U.S. history. And whether you know it or not, you're paying the price. Subscribe to this channel. Hit notifications, because this story is far from over. New developments every day, new breaches discovered, new companies targeted, new technology stolen. You need to stay informed. You need to understand what's coming. You need to protect yourself. The wealth transfer is happening now. The clock is ticking and your future hangs in the balance. This is economy meet history. And the history being made is the theft of American innovation on a scale never seen before.